2 more minutes, Martha. I'll give you the sign.
Okay.
Let's get started. All right, you're on.
Yeah.
Can you please turn on the Fox Hill service and record it?
Oh.
Thank you.
And we're ready.
Welcome home. Good morning. I am the Reverend Martha Sines, and I'm very happy to be here. ISD has been my church home for 25 years. So it's familiar in so many ways, and I've seen many changes, but most of all, it really is the most special sense to come back and think that it is home in my spiritual life. Call to worship. Here in this place, there are no foreigners, for all are welcome in God's house. Here in this worship, there is only acceptance, for love is the language of faith. Here in our lives, there are no divisions, for God dwells in each of us. And now our invocation. O gracious Spirit, light and wisdom of the ages, who understands every human problem, who are ever working in perfect love throughout the universe, we, your children, come to you, leaving all anxiety and fear. We seek to enter into your peace, to feel your strength, to know that united with you, we are guarded from all ills. We pray, O great Spirit, that each heart shall be illuminated with your gracious love, with your power. Thus we stand before you, surrendering all discord, knowing that in you we are safe. Amen. And now please join me for the Lord's Prayer, the Lamsa translation. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done as in heaven, so on earth. Give us bread for our needs from day to day, and forgive us our offenses as we forgive our offenders. And do not let us enter into temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Now it is time for reciting our Declaration of Principles which unite us. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that infinite intelligence expresses itself in all existence and in humanity as a manifestation of divine love. We affirm the unity of all life everywhere. We believe in communion with all planes of existence and that meaningful communication flows from this connection. We affirm the divine right of each individual to seek the truth in accordance with their consciousness, and that living in harmony with that truth defines true spirituality. We affirm that spiritual unfoldment is progressive and unending, and that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the mandate Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We affirm the personal responsibility of the individual and that we choose our happiness or unhappiness as we apply the laws of the universe. We affirm that life is eternal and that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We believe the ultimate expression of the God in our life is unconditional love of our neighbors and ourselves. We accept that the living gift of prophecy and healing recorded in all sacred scripture are an affirmation of divine spirit working through us. And now it's time for our healing meditation. Time to get comfortable. Make sure your back is straight. Sit comfortably with your feet on the floor and your hands in your lap. Gently close your eyes and take a deep breath, slowly breathing in calmness. Hold your breath for a moment and slowly let it out, relaxing your shoulders and taking a second deep breath. Hold it and slowly exhale as you feel more relaxed. And finally, take a third breath, a breath of serenity and peace. Hold it for a moment and gently let it out, slowly, slowly, reaching a new state of awareness, of going within, of peace and healing. You see yourself walking down a country road, unpaved, but not rough, just a simple dirt road with trees that form an arch over you, making you feel protected. The road gently winding toward a stream of water, a stream that is from your past, from your childhood, a memory of magic joys, of remembrance of your early connection to nature, to the trees, the sparkling water, the ferns and flowers of a child's wonderland. As you walk around a bend in the path, you see a tree stump, the shape and size of an ideal bench, a place to sit and rest, a welcome moment for you to sit and look around. Then your gaze goes up. It goes up one of the trees, to the tallest tree that you can see, and your eyes follow the trunk up, up, and up to the leaves of gold, orange, and deep red, the fall colors, until you see the sky, a patch of blue and soft peach, as the afternoon approaches the early evening. This walk, the stream, the trees, and now the sky have surrounded you with peace, and nature's love has filled your heart with joy and a sense of anticipation that you are not alone, that there is a loving presence nearby. As you lower your eyes from that beautiful sky, you see a figure dressed in a soft, flowing white robe, almost translucent, as if illuminated by divine light. You gasp a little, taking in your breath, staying very still, feeling the warmth of that presence, as if your aura is now sparkling, having been touched by divine light. It is one of your spirit guides from one of your past lives who is very protective of you. It is your time to know of his presence in your life, of his support and guidance, and most of all, of his divine love for you. At this moment of bliss, of joy, of serenity and peace, you feel at one with nature, and you know that your spirit guide has brought you the greatest messages of all. that you are never alone, that your soul journey is progressing as it should, in divine order, and that you are always guided by divine love. You close your eyes for a moment to savor this blessed moment, and when you open them, your spirit guide is gone. But you know in your heart that you have been touched by an angel, by a divine being, and that your life journey is now more joyous, more inspired than before. You follow the path back to the main road, gently bringing your thoughts back to the here and now, taking a deep breath, letting it out quickly, then another and another, opening your eyes slowly, returning to full awareness. Now it is time for our responsive reading. The responsive reading today is R25, Immortality. This is the promise that has been made to us, eternal life.
Yea, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil, for you are with me.
Where can I go from your spirit?
If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my place in hell, you are there also.
If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost part of the sea, even there your hand will lead me, and your right hand will hold me fast.
We are born of eternal day, and the spiritual sun shall never set upon the glory of the soul, for it is the coming forth of the all into self-expression.
Man and woman, the real man and woman, are birthless, deathless, changeless, and God as man and woman, in each man and woman, is man and woman. Creator and creation constitute one indivisible wholeness.
The God within and the God without is one and the same.
We are not going to attain immortality. We are now immortal. Death is but a passing to a higher sphere of life and action.
And so we prepare not to die, but to live, not for survival, but for fulfillment of being.
Our contention is not that the dead live again, but that a living person never dies. A consciousness of continuity is finite, but continuity itself is infinite.
Resurrection is the power of life, always present, ever creative, ever new. Life and its resurrection are now. I turn to life in reverence, hope, and joy.
And this is the record, that we have been given eternal life, and this life is in each of us.
Amen.
Now it's time for our homily. In today's homily, I want to read certain poems, but still the most important message is a quote from a poet named Laura Phipps Kelly. Remembrance in life's passing is the truest form of love one can give, for a memory should never die, and a love should live forever in the heart of another, end quote. I'd like to share these special poems on the themes of death and dying and recovering, and also everlasting love, to inspire us, to comfort us, to help us heal, and to help us with our grieving. Whether we have lost a loved one recently or even within the past year, we are grieving a personal loss. And sadly, in this year of the pandemic, we are all grieving nationally, reminded every day of the 213,000 or more departed loved ones. And that was only yesterday's number. As you are aware, it grows every day, affecting new families and communities in the drama of life and death, of loss and grieving. How can we cope? The poets may have some answers. Throughout history, poets have written about love and death as the most perpetual themes of life. The first poem I'm reading is called Loved and Lost. When you lose someone you love, life will change. You rearrange, and everything around you seems so strange. The world will spin in the wrong direction. You feel alone and want affection. Your appetite changes. You may not sleep. You don't feel like talking to anyone you meet. But as time goes on, things will get better and everything just comes together. And just because you smile, it doesn't mean you don't care, because you know in your heart that they will always be there. The second poem is called Memories by Christine McCloskey. I feel a warmth around me, like your presence is so near. And I close my eyes to visualize your face when you were here. I endure the times we spent together, and they are locked inside my heart. As long as I have those memories, we will never be apart. Even though we cannot speak anymore, my voice is always there, because every night before I sleep, I have you in my prayer. We know we survive because our loved one is always in our memories and always in our hearts. Both of those poems express the sadness of the loss, but remind us that the joy we shared in our time together will warm us and help us to go on with our life. The third poem is called How We Survive by Mark Rickerby. If we are fortunate, we are given a warning. If not, there is only the sudden horror, the wrench of being torn apart, of being reminded that nothing is permanent, not even the ones we love, the ones our lives revolve around. Life is a fragile affair. We are all dancing on the edge of a precipice, a dizzying cliff so high we can't see the bottom. One by one, we lose those we love most into that dark ravine. So we must cherish them without reservation, now, today, this minute. We will lose them or they will lose us someday. This is certain. There is no time for bickering, and their loss will leave a great pit in our hearts, a pit we struggle to avoid during the day and fall into at night. Some, unable to accept this loss, unable to determine the worth of life without them, jump into that black pit, spiritually or physically, hoping to find them there. And some survive the shock, the denial, the horror, the bargaining, the barren, empty aching, the unanswered prayers, the sleepless nights when their breath is crushed under the weight of silence and all that it means. Somehow, some survive all that, and like a flower opening after a storm, they slowly begin to remember the one they lost in a different way. the laughter, the irrepressible spirit, the generous heart, the way their smile made them feel, the encouragement they gave even as their own dreams were dying. And in time, they fill the pit with other memories, the only memories that really matter. We will still cry. We will always cry, but with loving reflection more than hopeless longing. And that is how we survive. And that is how the story should end. The third poem that I just read reminds us of the way to survive. Above all, to remember the beautiful, warm, and special moments we shared with that lost loved one. Now, these are not poems by famous poets, but they all tell us of each person's pain, of each writer's suffering, of each human's struggle to survive the loss of that loved one. All the writers have had to accept the reality of death and the reality of grief, but all have come to understand that the love they shared in their lives together continues after death and becomes a source of comfort because in some way their loved one continues to be a presence in their lives through the memories that remain alive. And for us metaphysicians, we know that we can sometimes sense the presence of our loved one. In many ways, they leave us signs, often and in nature, and many times simply when we are alone at home with our thoughts and feelings. It is precisely because of that need to keep our memories alive that ritual is so important when we face death. As many of you know from personal experience, the rituals of our respective religions help us through these losses. Memorial services and funeral services serve to bring closure and to provide a support group of family and friends. They are family and friends who share our grief. I know from personal experience that a memorial service can be truly memorable, full of unknown and touching details of a person we thought we knew so well. It can be a time to connect with others in deeper ways, setting aside the mundane and seeking spiritual meaning. Later rituals that commemorate an anniversary of the death or the laying of a tombstone may be bittersweet moments, yet they bring back family and friends to comfort us again. All of these rituals and religious services that I've just mentioned are familiar ones that we need to help us face what is the inevitable, that loved one is no longer with us physically on the earth plane. But in the larger sense, in the pandemic sense, how can we cope with such a massive number of deaths? The number becomes so overwhelming. The thought of 213,000 deaths is so overwhelming that it disappears into an inanimate statistic. We cannot comprehend what it really means in terms of people. Probably none of us knows over 213,000 people in our lifetimes. Perhaps one way to understand it and thus be able to be empathetic and compassionate is to imagine everyone you meet every day has lost a loved one to COVID-19 and is grieving that loss and struggling to cope. Or imagine that every phone call you receive is someone telling you about another loved one to COVID-19. Then begin to add those up for a week and begin to feel the numbers growing. It may begin to feel real, but still I'm sure we can't really feel the reality of those 213,000 souls dying because we didn't know them personally. What about compassion? Perhaps we can feel compassion for a huge number of people dying. We might call it a collective grieving and accompanying compassion for such a huge loss of life. That is possible if we consider that so many people across the world felt that type of collective grief and compassion for the Jews that perished in the Holocaust. Yet for each Jewish family who lost someone, it was still their personal pain and their personal grief that they suffered for their family member who died in those horrific ways. But added to the compassion that we feel for the victims of the Holocaust is another measure of compassion because we know how they died. COVID-19 is still an illness, not the result of someone's cruelty and depraved behavior, unless we consider that those who do not take precautions and become part of spreading the virus are complicitly infecting others. How can we practice the collective compassion we need right now for all those who have died from COVID-19? We can follow the teachings of the Dalai Lama, whose answer to all world problems is practice compassion. And we can follow the teachings of Jesus, the Master, who taught us to treat others as we wish to be treated. How can we do that? By doing good works. Even though we may not know a family who is grieving the loss of a COVID-19 family member, we can reach out to someone in need or help an organization that is feeding those out of work, or even reach out to someone you know personally who is grieving a loss of any kind. You will see that all the expressions of human kindness are welcome and reap great rewards of the spiritual kind. To help us cope with our own loss, let us do what we can to keep the memories alive of those who have passed. We can create photo albums of their lives. We can make recordings of their favorite music and songs. We can set aside a shelf of their favorite books and perhaps delve into some of those books ourselves. We can celebrate them on a special day by cooking or baking a preferred dish, perhaps on their birthday. And we can pray and meditate with them in our hearts and mind. We can also dream about them and visit that way. For now, we can only ask God's blessings on all those 213,000 souls to help their families on earth to heal from that loss. May God bless all of them. May God bless those here on earth who have provided healthcare at hospitals. May God help us to do all possible to prevent more people from being infected and protecting ourselves and our families. May God bless us all. Thank you. It's now time for the prosperity portion of our service, and I'll ask Reverend Rob to give you the links and the information necessary for that. Reverend Rob. It's now on the screen for all of you to see the information about how to make our love offering.
So you can just click right on that link, everybody, and that'll take you right to our donation module on the website. And as always, we are so grateful. We have been receiving support every single week from all of you, and cannot tell you how much it means for us, both financially as well as I think for moral support and for encouragement. So we are here as you are, and Thank you.
And now also I'd like to ask Reverend Rob to do the announcements.
Thank you, Reverend Martha. And as always, I want to start by thanking our celebrant today, Reverend Martha Sines, has, as always, jumps in, is prepared, ready to go. We always have a great little powwow before the service on Saturday, and it was just as wonderful this week. So thank you so much for the work you put into the service and for the thought. And she's going to have an announcement. I don't want to spoil her thunder, but she's going to have a little announcement during the affirmation of spirit that we're really excited about. So thank you. I want to just mention a few things that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. First of all, we have one final discussion group for the book that we are reviewing, The Untethered Soul, on Tuesday. So we've gone through, there are 5 sections of the book, and we've gone through all the sections, and everyone agreed that we want to have one more, we had scheduled one more discussion, and really can encourage anybody who wants to just pop into that discussion. It's just been such an amazing book, substantive. People have kind of embraced, reading the chapters when they've needed to, and sharing their thoughts and discussions. So it's really a powerful book on just what it means to be awakening into consciousness. So I highly recommend if you want to join us for that and get an idea of what one of the discussion groups is like. So we're going to be taking a little break after this one is done, because Reverend James DiBiasio, our founder, is going to be teaching the history of the modern metaphysical movement in the United States. It's a great class, and it certainly provides all of us here context for where we've come from in our spirituality, and what has existed before our church, and the principles that we're using, and what exists concurrently. He's going to cover it all, and he's going to do it with lots of enthusiasm. So please join us. Those are going to be 4 Tuesdays beginning October 20th. So the 20th and the 27th, and then the first 2 Tuesdays in November. And we've got several registrants already from all over. So looking forward to a fun class. That'll be at 7:30, as all of our classes are. And you can just check the website for that information. Because I don't often get the chance to do this, I want to ask Reverend Fran to step in. She and Sylvia have been doing our Saturday Spiritual Gifts Share weekly, every week, without fail, with guests, without guests, with meditations, with hands-on. And I just want to give her the chance to talk about this, because we've got some things coming up. She's done a full schedule through the end of the year, and just a little bit about what she has been seeing, what Sylvie's been seeing during the meditations, because it's just such a great morning event, and it's really served to kind of move us forward and allow us to touch on a lot of topics as samples, hence the term sampler. So Reverend Fran, if you could just talk a little bit about it and share some of your experiences.
Yeah. Good morning. These Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock, Sylvia and I are covering various psychic development topics and healing. And we're very excited because this coming Saturday, Brenda Paradiso will be teaching and leading discussion on astrology. The classes start at 10, and they go from 11:30 to 12 o'clock, depending on the discussion. So come join us. Then we have Monty Scribner, who is going to teach automatic writing. That's coming up. We also will have sessions on having past life experiences of your own. You will be led into a directed meditation. We've got lots of exciting things coming up, meeting your guides and teachers. And so come join us whenever you can.
Thank you, Reverend Fran. Again, I highly recommend just dropping in for one of these sessions. These are the online versions of the Saturday morning sessions that we're basically serving as a drop-in development circle, a way for you to explore some of the psychic tools that you might be interested in, or have felt that you have had with you for your whole life and never had a place to express them. So Again, can't say enough about it. And this is what, our third year. We're in our third year of it. So, and thank you for your dedication to that, as I have said many times. We are going to be doing our message gallery on the 23rd of this month. So please join us for that. If you have not been to one of these online versions before, they're a lot of fun. Reverend Ken has been looking for readers. We only need 4, and then we've got we've got 10 spaces available for that. So think about joining us on the 23rd of October for our message gallery. And I think that's all for now, unless anybody else has anything else to say. Let's speak now.
Well, returning to the order of service for our congregational prayer. The congregational prayer is those beyond the veil, and it should appear on your screen. Those beyond the veil. Eternal Spirit, soul of the universe, and creator of life. In you do we live and move and have our being. In you do we find total joy, knowing that death is but an incident in the eternal adventure to which you have called us. In quietness and confidence we find our strength. For in truth there are no dangers. In your sight the generations of mankind still live, and we are united in spirit with all who have gone before us. Illusion belies the reality of life eternal, as we remember in thought and prayer those who touch our lives from beyond the veil. Grant them peace and feed them in green pastures by the waters of comfort, where all sorrow has fled. Grant them the good things which the eye has not seen, nor the ear heard. Bring them and us into the company of angels and just people made perfect, that during our pilgrimage to eternity, we may abide in their fellowship and become partakers in their joy. So be it. And now I'm very happy to share with all of you messages, and then I'll have the special announcement after we finish our messages. I know most people want a message, so let's see what Spirit says first. Robin Bonner, can you please unmute yourself? Would you like a message?
Please. Thank you.
Well, I see you it's not an arboretum, but it could be an arboretum because there are trees that are all lined up in perfect order. And it's true that nature has absolute perfect order in so many parts, or all parts. But these trees are a combination of nature and man-made order. And part of that beautiful image in the arboretum, and it's almost as if there were a field that is only grass and there are trees lined up in perfect order, almost in a design. I think that most of all, this is a message for you to think of how things that happen in your life, although they may seem out of order, are truly there for a purpose. And to remember that nature is always reminding us of these things. We know that we behave differently at different times of the month when the moon is in different cycles. We know that we are affected by astrology and astronomy in very perfect combinations. And so the message for you is to please remember that in your life, to understand that when things seem to go awry, there is a purpose for them, and to be less frustrated with anything that doesn't go exactly as you thought it might. God bless you, and I hope that you take this message um, to heart and have it help you in your life.
Thank you.
Lilia, hi. Could you unmute yourself? Unmute yourself, please.
Working on it.
There. All right, that's okay. I understand. Lilia, it's good to see you. Would you like a message?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Martha.
Okay. Lilia, I see you riding a scooter. It's not a motorcycle, but it's a scooter. And you're going around in circles because you're trying it out. And it's interesting. It's really, there's a special way that people act when they first get on anything like a scooter or a motorcycle. They end up going in circles first. And it's just very, very typical. I have never ridden a motorcycle, that is to drive it. I've been on the back seat of the motorcycle, but not driving it. But it's really an image for you to remember that many times when we try something new, we do go around in circles first because we're trying to figure it out. It doesn't come naturally. And so part of the message is to remember that as you try new things, and you being the artist are always trying new things, that there's a period of adjustment. And that because you tend to be, as a Virgo Libra perfectionist, that you also think about that part and not get frustrated because it doesn't fall into perfect order immediately. And it's interesting that that is, in a sense, an offshoot of Robin's message, that we are always trying to keep that balance between perfect order, divine order, and what life throws our way. So remember those two images, and good luck with riding down the path of life.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Janet, Reverend Janet, would you like a message? You need to unmute. Reverend Janet Johnson.
There we go. Got it.
Yes, wonderful. Janet, I see you in a shop. I see you in a shop, but it's a very unusual kind of shop. What you're really shopping for is robes, but robes, ministerial robes. And you're trying on different robes, and you're looking at different designs. You're looking at, robes of all kinds. And would anyone imagine that ministers have so many clothing choices anyway? But the thing that's interesting is, because you are a minister, and because this message, this image is all about the ministry, I think it's really trying to say that you are a very creative person, and that you want to see what types of creative things you can bring to your ministry. And you're trying all of these different outfits, these robes that symbolize different aspects of ministry. So that is your message from Spirit, to keep trying on all of those different aspects of your ministry, because we will be blessed by them and you will be blessed by them.
Thank you, Martha.
Lauren Rogers. I know this is the moment
Good
of
morning.
unmute.
Good morning. It's good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you too. Lauren,
Mhm.
I also see you out in nature, but now you're walking in a garden, and you're looking at the garden and thinking, I didn't know that these flowers would still be blooming in the fall. And there's a yearning for you, that you're thinking, I wonder if I had planted more or different ones. And there's really that sense of a little bit of regret, and thinking, but now in the winter, I can't plant anymore, and I have to be patient and wait until spring. But in a sense, it's a message to tell you that we all have regrets. We wished we had done things earlier or different things sooner, but we can't change the past. And so bring that regret with you because it will spur you to do new things. And because you have to wait through the winter to plant new flowers, it means you also have to be more introspective and you have to be more thorough in some of that planning. But look on it as a period of reflection, introspection, wanting to do creative things and having the opportunity throughout the winter to plan them even more carefully, and to bring that creative spirit into play. So good luck with your garden.
Thank you.
Carol McCaffrey. Yes. Unmute, please.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Thank you.
Oh, good. Would you like a message?
Yes, please.
Wonderful. Well, not only do I see you with your two birds on each, one on each shoulder, but I see you in an apiary. No, that's not right. Yes, maybe it is. Anyway, I see you in a place that has lots of birds, and you're there talking with them, giving them love and tenderness that only you can give the animal world. And really knowing that you have the ability to communicate with nature in a very unique way, because anyone who can train their pets to do the things that your birds do is a very special person. You have gifts of communication that very few of us have. I remember a special minister we had at ISD who has since passed. And ironically enough, her birthday would have been yesterday. And it was Reverend Melody Hill. Melody had the ability to talk to the plants, to talk to flowers and bushes. And I saw her do this. It was amazing. And she could also just lift her hand and have a butterfly land on that hand and stay there. And she could talk to that butterfly. It was really a beautiful gift. And I think you have that too. So remember that a lot of the love that you have, that you give and receive, is from the animal world and nature, and consider that a true blessing.
I do. I thank you.
Good. Now, let's see who else. Reverend Rob. Hello, Reverend Rob. Would you like a message?
I would love a message, Reverend Martha.
Let's see. I see you. I know that you teach spinning, but I see you spinning right through the calendar. It's almost as if you had a big, huge calendar, and on the ground, and you are actually on a bicycle that moves that moves ahead, and you are running. I see it in September and October and November and December, and you are running as if you were in a race. And the message is that you have to balance your life between when you are spinning and going nowhere and when you are spinning and going somewhere.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
So think about that,
Yes,
because
it's beautiful.
the bike takes us places, but sometimes it's very good to spin in place, because when you spin in place, you have a sense that you're moving, which is really good, because there are some of us who need to keep physically moving all the time. It happens to Geminis who can't sit still very long. But at the same time, we need to be reflective and introspective and know when we need to go full steam ahead and when we need to just spin in place.
Love it.
So
Thank you.
that's the message.
Right on.
Karen Davis.
Karen Davis here.
Yes, how are you? It's good to see you.
Good, thank you.
Karen, I see you actually. I know you're in Vermont, and I know that there's a lot of snow in Vermont, and I see an image of you in the snow. But you are doing something very special. You are having fun making snowballs and and hitting trees with them, and you're having fun, creating a snowman. And so it's really an image for you to have fun in nature in Vermont, as nowhere else you can do all of the winter sports if you do any winter sports. And they don't have to be skiing, they don't have to be active things. If there were a place where you could actually, go on a horse-drawn carriage or a sleigh or something like that. It's
Okay.
just the idea of having fun where you are, that instead of thinking as you are surrounded by 3 feet of snow that you would rather be at the beach, just enjoy being in the snow. And then later in the summer when you can be at the beach, enjoy that. It's really a message to enjoy where you are and not spend the time thinking of where you'd rather be. And I think that's a that's a message for so many of us, because they say, if you spend your time feeling guilty about things, it means that you're living in the past, and you can't change the past. You just need to learn from it. And if you're living with worry about the future, that also means that you're not doing anything useful for yourself, because you can't change whatever is going to happen. You can affect it, yes, in some ways. But the point is that when you are in the past or in the future in your mind, you're not enjoying the present. And when you're not enjoying the present, you're letting life go by. So that's really a message to keep in mind. So
Thank you, Martha.
enjoy all the snow.
Okay.
Jan Kiefer. Hello, Jan. I know I can't see you, but if you'd like a message, here I am.
Yes, hi.
Hello. Jan, the message for you is take your grandson to museums as whenever you can. I just saw you. I don't know how old your grandson is now, maybe 5 or 6.
7.
He's 7. I was getting close. Anyway, but they're at that age when they love to be in museums, and not just the Air and Space Museum. And you have such joy when you are with him that it really will inspire you to find even more joy. When you're with him, whatever you're doing doubles the joy. And he's at an age when he will love all kinds of museums. And we have, just such a blessing in this area to have so many available to us. So the message is double your joy taking your grandson to museums, because you will both be more enlightened and just so much happier for it.
Thank you.
Okay. Claudia and Dave. All right, please unmute.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see, Apple Country. I don't know why, but there you are, both of you going out to, I don't know if this is apple picking time, but I think it is. And it's saying also to go out into nature, but have a purpose. And the idea of going someplace and picking fruit and picking apples and having apple cider and all of that, those are special moments. Those are things that are seasonal. But if we don't enjoy the season, then another time we will have regrets about, I wish I had gone apple picking, or I wish I had gone to the beach, or I wish I had gone to make snowmen and play in the snow. And so it's really a message to look at where you are in the season, and look at where you are in the season of your life, and do what is going to give you the greatest joy. And the apple picking can have all kinds of other significance. certainly the most important thing is to be aware that with fruit, God bless you to whoever sneezed, um, that fruit is really a way to use all your senses, because you can hold a fruit, you can see a fruit, you can taste the fruit. And when you bite into a crunchy apple, you can even hear the crunch of the apple. And so and you certainly can smell the apple as you're about to take a bite. So it's a metaphor for using all of our senses, enjoying all of our senses, and knowing that in this case, it nourishes you in more ways than one. Um, Jim,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Reverend Jim, may I give you a message?
Yeah, there we go. Yes,
All right, very good. Well, I see you at the beach, and that's not anything unusual because the beach is so close to you. You're probably closer to the beach than any of us here. But I think what's really beautiful is that when you're at the beach, whenever you're at the beach, and I know that you must go to the beach, not just in the summer, but in all seasons. And I know what it's like to live near the beach. There's something special about going there um, in the winter even. There's a special sense of the greatness of nature, that you see something so vast as that ocean, and you see the sky, and you feel connected to these vast um, miracles of nature in a very special way. And I know that it's, I'm sure, part of your inspiration for all of us. And so I'm asking that you bring back all of that to us, because we miss you. And we know that you are uniquely situated now to bring those messages back to us of the cosmos. And I think that's the message. Bring back to us the vastness of the cosmos, because you are in a very special place to do so.
thank you, dear.
And
Thank you.
yes. Fran and Sylvia. Fran and Sylvia, I'm going to give you a message together, because I'm sure you must be aware the two of you have been in lifetimes in the past together in many different roles. And I see a special connection that you have in this lifetime to, it's almost as if the combination of the two of you is greater than each of you alone. And so I think it's because you both have been together many lifetimes. And so in each lifetime, you bring to your purpose in this lifetime something unique that you couldn't do individually. And I think that that's really very special. In any of our lives, we think of who is close to us and who helps us be a better self. And I think both of you do that for each other. So on behalf of myself and all of the people at ISD, thank you for the special gifts that you bring to us together that you might not have been able to bring to us separately. Thank you. And let's see, Lisa, Lisa Schwanger.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, hello. Um, Lisa, do you ever sing when you're outdoors?
No.
Well, that's what I see you doing. I see this image of you singing outdoors. And it might be a beautiful way to do it, because singing indoors right now with the pandemic is more complicated. But singing outdoors, you are free to do that. And especially if you are socially distanced from anyone, you are singing to the birds, to the trees, to the grass, to the flowers, to the leaves falling off the trees. There's a beautiful image of you doing that. And I just encourage you to do that symbolically or actually. To feel that connection to nature and to just feel very free, as if you were also a bird out there in nature, singing with that beautiful voice of yours.
Okay, thank you.
Olivia, Reverend Olivia.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Olivia, it's really special to give you this message. I see you as if you were running the Library of Congress. Anyway, it's just a really beautiful image. I know that you're leading a book group, but that's not where it comes from. I just see you at the Library of Congress. It's a beautiful place. It's worth visiting whenever you can. I don't know what the restrictions are right now, but there's something that you have a connection to very large libraries from other past lives, probably. But it's also the sense of not just what's in the books, but that you are the communicator for what's in the books and that you've done that in other lifetimes. And the Library of Congress is the largest place where you can have a sense of that universal wonder of literature and that we are bringing great thinking to everyone. And so to even feel more inspired, if you could get to the Library of Congress for a visit at least once a year, I think you'll feel that connection when you're there. So thank you for also bringing your gifts to us through your literature sessions.
Thank you.
Let's see. Robin Olson. I know we have several Robins, but Robin Olson.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good morning. That's right. Robin, I see you. Let's see, you play several instruments, but I think you play the French horn. Is that right?
Trombone.
Trombone. I'm sorry. I was, well, anyway, I saw you with a French horn with the curl. So maybe Spirit is saying it's time to take up the French horn. But at any rate, it's really a message about tooting your own horn. So whichever horn it is, could be a trumpet, could be the trombone, could be a French horn, could be a tuba. Spirit wants you to toot your own horn. And that means find situations and find opportunities to play in public and also to perhaps explore a new instrument. And most of all, to appreciate your own gifts. And also, if you want to try something new that you haven't done before, do that too, even if it's not related to music. But it is definitely time to develop new musical interests or to actually explore something new that you've always wanted to try. Maybe writing poetry, maybe painting, but definitely some expression that you haven't done before, and see where that path leads you, because it will bring you new joys. Anne Moore.
Yes.
Hello, Anne.
Hi.
Yes, hello. Anne, do you knit?
No.
No. Well, I see you knitting somehow, but it's really a message to do something creative with your hands. It could be painting, it could be just coloring. It brings you into the right side of your brain, and helps you in a lot of ways to keep that in balance, because we are in a society where the left brain is so prevalent that our brains are a little out of balance. And so Spirit is asking you to do something creative, like knitting, crocheting, anything like that, any type of craft, and to do that because it will help you to have personal joy, and at the same time help you feel more balanced in the right left brain dynamic. So Spirit wants you to do that. And if you do that with your husband, that also is another thing that's fun to do. Explore that. Maybe both of you doing something like that. And now that we are being at home so much more, it's time to follow those creative pursuits at home.
Thank you.
So enjoy.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to stop now. But anyone who hasn't gotten a message, I will try to make up for it next time. And now I'd like to share something very special with you. All our ideas, in one sense, comes from Spirit, but then they're modified by our own human brains. But there is one that I'm sure is from Spirit. I don't know which one, but I would like to start a tradition that actually Reverend Jim says we had many, many years ago, to start a memorial service that we do once a year. And the idea of this is that once a year, we will choose a day where the service is dedicated to all those wonderful souls who have been part of ISD as congregants and members. And this goes back to the founding of the church in Washington. If we can go that far and remember all of them, but it means that we are choosing a day to honor them, to remember them, and to appreciate that ISD is a living church, and it's a living church because it has been affected and blessed by the presence of all of those people who came before us and continue to do so, because as you know, as metaphysicians, many of those spirits are with us at our service. They're with us individually many times, and it's a moment to honor them and remember them. So the idea is that we are going to plan for November 1st this year. November 1st service will be dedicated to a service of remembrance. And we will have a list of all of those who have passed, if possible, the date of their passing, and then we will dedicate the service to them. So I'm asking all of you to do your own lists and remember who they might have been, if you knew them personally, or even heard of them. But if you can do your lists, and then you can call me or email me. Rob will put my email on the chat, I think. And then you can send us the names of all of those people that you remember or knew. We will not really be doing a separate explanation or history of their life, but because that would just be a little bit too long as a service. But we do want to remember them, and we want to do this in a special way. It'll be the service November 1st, which is All Saints Day. And if you have any questions, just email me or call me, and Reverend Jim and Reverend Rob and I will be participating in this service to bring it together. So now it's time to get back to our closing prayer and the benediction. Oh, beloved, may this unique and sacred experience we have created as a community help us to grow in spirit